Hello, Digital Sticks here, and saw someone asking a question about whether the index controllers are worth it, and I started to answer in my usual too much information kind of way. So instead, I'll just try to make a too much information kind of video. Actually, I'm trying to be more concise. I'm just not good at it. But it's interesting because like the discussion of the index for me becomes a different discussion for Vrchat versus VR in general. So it's also different because I have, as a Rift user that really liked the Oculus Touch controllers, had a hybrid setup for Vrchat and full body to discuss these things too. I have a different additional value compared to what I already had going on. That applies to the Knuckles as well. So Vrchat is a game that implements the index controllers. Pretty remarkable, actually. They knew there was some enthusiasm, and they made this happen. Before the controllers were in people's hands, they'd already announced their solution. So in Vrchat, you can move your fingers now. That doesn't actually do anything extra in the game, and it's probably not going to anytime soon. I mean, unless they just become massively popular where it's a benefit to the majority of the population in the game. I don't see them doing that soon. I'm not saying they absolutely won't, but you can't do anything in Vrchat with the index functionality that you can't already do with other controllers, except for move your fingers individually. But that's great for a game that's all about immersion, presence, and having fun. So I'm not using my trackers at the moment for this video. This avatar happens to be pretty good at faking it as well as supporting it. But the fidelity and the ability of being able to move in full body while in Vrchat, plus move your hands as well, it's nice. So absolutely in Vrchat, they're great, they're fun, they're an added dimension even over the Oculus Touch controllers. So in that respect, if you play Vrchat, these are great controllers. If you have a Rift and you already have the Touch, you may have seen where you can use the index controllers with Space Calibrator, kind of as a hybrid setup, but only just using it for the controllers. I don't see where that would be worth it. The Touch are so good on their own, and they're decent enough that to just simply upgrade or to go through all those extra steps just to have the finger tracking. I mean, if you really want it, maybe it'll end up being like in Vrchat, maybe it'll end up being like the way I feel about full body when I got that and it was expensive. Perhaps. I don't see that. I think being able to do the gesture animations that you can already do is pretty good. But that said, on the Vrchat implementation of this, there's two things I really like that are kind of bonus features. There's one thing I don't like. The two things I do like, too, are the, I won't touch this, but there are still some controllers there. Okay, so the feature is this thumb press that used to do nothing for the index controllers now toggles gesture animations on or off. So here I can just do the rock and roll sign manually, or I can turn gestures on and I trigger the gun in this animation. Now, if I turn it off, the animation still runs even though I'm finger tracking. And then when I turn it back on, it stops because I'm not on it. And then I can turn it back off. And now I can move my hands and I don't trigger those animations. Anybody familiar with the game that's had fun with some animations on an avatar knows, or maybe has realized that it would be nice to be able to turn those off and just talk. This avatar, that's an extra value because there's that animation. That's a decent, that's fun to dance to or whatever, but that, for whatever reason, that also teleports. If I point that accidentally or incidentally at a teleport option, I'm gone. I'm at that teleport option, whether that's another world or whether that's spawning into a different spot. Like the Void Club, I end up in all kinds of different places within the Void Club. In the hub, I end up flying off to random worlds. So I really like this avatar. It goes good with my name, and it's got a lot of features that I like. I like the way the shaders work and stuff. I like it, but I couldn't use it hardly ever because of it flying away and teleporting, and it was really limited. Now I can use it freely when I want to, and I still have finger tracking. When the gestures are off, the facial animations that get connected to some of those aren't working either. That's not a big deal to me, but it's huge. Just that benefit alone makes me happy to have the index. They could add that to any controllers where you can turn the gesture animations off, I say they could, but here's the thing, that gesture animation on the other controllers is what actually does the shape keys to pose your hands. So they can't without some added effort. It's not the same that the index, they can just toggle it off and on because you don't use animations for shape keys. You're actually tracking your fingers if you're not animating. Now, what I wish they would have done, and this is a one downside to it, and it's very minor, you can't do a peace sign or the victory sign because you can't spread your fingers. You just move them up and down. So I wish when your gestures were on, that not only would you trigger the animations, but you would trigger the shape keys, the same shape keys that get poised with other controllers, and then that would give you the best of all worlds. Like you could do your typical gesture and just match it for the animated gesture or the posed gesture. But anyways, that's the only downside. Very minor, very non-consequential. As far as other games, they're fine that I've found. I mean, you just need to look at reviews for that, but I don't see them being an upgrade over Oculus Touch pretty much anywhere except for Vrchat. But even the Vrchat, it's really, if you're already on Vive controllers or you have an index, they're really great enhancements to the game. If you have an Oculus Rift with no full body tracking already, I wouldn't do it. If you have a hybrid setup and the Rift Touch, that's a different story because the flyaway that you get from the hip tracker with the Oculus controllers, you would no longer get that with these index controllers because they're not going to interfere with the trackers. You still have to do all the other, you have any other drawback to the hybrid setup you'll still have to contend with. But you'd also have the added benefit of having your Oculus Touch still for the rest of your games. So you don't have to worry about where else index are better or not. You simply use index where it helps you or where you want to, and you can use the touch elsewhere. Whether it's worth the money is totally up to you. That's a personal opinion. I upgraded to the index, and so now I've got all the benefits of having an all-in-one system. That has just been so nice. Yesterday was my first time to play for hours on end, and it was just great. I have zero regrets about that. Anyone that had Vive wands that got them to use with their Vive, anyone that I've talked to has just been completely happy with them. So I'm switching to index from Rift touch controllers is acceptable. It's not, and for Vrchat, I don't know. I guess I'm getting used to it. It really feels good, and it really helps with immersion to have hands in Vrchat. I would not in Vrchat. I don't want my touch back. I like these for sure in Vrchat. So, and none of the more widely known issues with the thumbstick clicks and stuff like that even affect me between Vrchat or Beat Saber or anything that I play. So, and I'm just thoroughly happy with the controllers. So absolutely a full recommend on these for me, unless you have a Rift, unless you're on an Oculus setup and you're thinking about only for the index controllers switching to a hybrid setup or whatever, that's going to be on you, whether you really want it that bad. I would say that's kind of a stretch because the Oculus touch controllers aren't bad. But I'm saying that even as I'm like really glad that I have these now. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it would be completely worth it any which way you can to get a hold of these, especially for Vrchat, which is maybe the only game that's actually directly using these right now. I haven't even done the demo yet. I've downloaded it, got it installed, but I haven't even played it yet. And so I should do that and see what it feels like when a game actually implements these things for the purpose of the game. Now in VRChat, because you don't have a grip button and it already uses the force for that, you get that regardless. So the things that you used to pick up by squeezing a grip trigger, you now just pick up. So, I mean, you do get some of that. You're going to have that by default because I don't know how they handle that, but any game that uses a grip button now uses your pressure from an actual grip. So anyways, that should be enough for this. If you like this information, this is the kind of stuff I put out. I think I was a little bit more sensible today than when I was tired and making the last one on my first impressions on the index altogether. Be sure to like and follow and help me out there and grow some support, and that'll help encourage me to keep these going. Anyways, appreciate you watching. Comment down below with your thoughts on this. That's always welcome, and have a good day.